Hey, what is happening, guys? Steve Maeda here, Formula 69. Man, this is the 8th video. It's technically a bonus video, but here we're gonna demonstrate the whole thing. All the way from meet to getting a transition, to getting into rapport, to getting a date, to getting that first kiss, to escalating sexually, all the logistics in multiple variations, all in one video. A lot of information here. Now, I know you might be watching the opening, the transitioning video, and then you get a little bit stuck on the rapport videos. You take some time with that and you really dive into, what we're learning there and how to workshop the different things we're talking about. And then when it gets into the dating and escalating to a kiss, there's a big bridge. We've been doing this for a long time. We've been doing TSL online for a long time. I know where the sticking points are and where the stopping points are. In this video here, we're gonna take you through the whole thing so it all makes sense and so you could piece it all together. Do not let a temporary lapse in success, a little bit of failure, or not understanding something, being confused about a certain part, hold you back from the success that you deserve. Man, do not give up. Failure only happens when we quit. All right. Check out this video. It's amazing. It's going to take you through, beginning to end. We're going to go through multiple variations. If you're a young kid in college and you just want to have those sexual experiences that you want, or you're in your 50s and you want to date a woman in her 20s or 30s, what do you got to do? What are the different ways that you're going to say it? How do you customize it to yourself? That's what we're going to do right now. Formula 69. Put your thinking caps on. Download the PDF. And hey, if you're not understanding something, you truly are working this program, shoot me an email. And of course, if you want more TSL online, that's really where it all comes together. And we're just gonna have so much fun coaching and all that awesome stuff. Hey, thank you guys so much. Email me if you got anything, and just email me with letting me know how you're doing on this thing. Let's get into this demonstration of Formula 69 in its entirety. Oh yeah, and one more thing. We're gonna have a bonus video after this. You've probably already heard about it on advanced rapport. Check that out, because that is going to change your conversational life for the rest of your life. All right, let's get into the video. Hey, what is happening? Steve Maeda here with Formula 69's TSL Online presentation for, man, we're going to cover everything. So as you guys know that you've been exposed to what Formula 69 is, or you haven't yet. And it's just like, look, basically we're going to cover how you would meet somebody, all the way to closing them with everything in between. That means the date, the kiss, all the different resistance, the questioning, the wondering, all that sort of stuff. But we're going to cover it in one fluid presentation. Now, to individually break down each of these parts, what we did for this Formula 69 presentation is we made over 7 hours of tutorials breaking it all down. This is just like awesome. I mean, basically what I feel, if you're going to be a part of TSL Online, I want you to take the program and do it. It's a deep, deep dive. If you watch this Formula 69 presentation, you'll be prepared for it. If you do a TSL workshop, same thing. I don't want you to be in question of the different things that we're doing. I want you to have a familiarity with them and to be able to do them to just to a degree where it's not just this mass confusion. So check this out. I want to make this clear here, guys. TSL Online, TSL, the sexual life, the social dynamic to be the better man. I was actually thinking about this and talking about this with some people the other night. And truly, you cannot be the better man without fully expressing your sexual urge. Now, I get it if you're out of society and you're a Zen monk living on a monastery, but if you're in society, if you want to date, you are then activating a force of nature within yourself, your sexuality, your desire to fuck, your desire to be in relationships, your desire to do all these different things, the dark side, the light side, everything, all the stuff we talk about at TSL, all those things. You are not bound by some moral beliefs, by some social structure. You are bound by that force of nature within you. And what we do at TSL is figure out how to do that. Now, check this out. If you are being sexual with somebody and you have not evolved to become that better man, then you're not fully being yourself. You're out of sync with your authenticity. You're out of sync with your masculinity. So what we do here at TSL, what we always do, emphatically do, and do better, I believe, than anybody else, because we have the system to do it. I mean, geez, the calls, the fellowship, the content, the interaction. I mean, it was just all the way around the world, this international support group of men. But what we do is we do that. when we start having sex, when we start connecting, when we start having relationships, when we start fucking, when we start going through loss, when we start learning how to pick ourselves back up, all that sort of stuff. When that happens, man, we evolve in so many different ways about our life. And that is pretty much, that's what happens here. Now, what Formula 69 is this is just a template and a formula, and you're going to let go of it at some point. This isn't the end all be all. This is a template, right? It's a man-made system to model a nature-made urge of sex or phenomenon of what happens when human beings come together. Okay. So, and that goes for any technique at TSL, but this is something where you can follow it step by step. You know where you go wrong. You know where you go right. You know when it's time to move on. You know when it's time to escalate sexually or call her up or send her a text message. This is a real concrete way for you to look at how you can authentically connect with somebody. So this is really a very simple, very basic template, and there's so much adaptability in this. This is why I think being a part of the TSL community is so awesome, because if you're having a problem, you can find out 20 different ways to do it, just because there'll be 20 different guys interacting with you and all that sort of stuff. In any case, just a very cool thing. If you do need some help, if some of the stuff you're going through, because I understand like it's a model that you may not have any experience with this, why not sign up on one of our programs where you can get some phone access and talk to some different guys to help you out and all that sort of good stuff. All right, what we're going to cover here, and we cover this in the other videos, it's like, hey, look, if I can meet somebody, I could build rapport. If I could build rapport, I can get a date. If I can get a date, I can get a kiss. If I can get a kiss, I can get a close. But more specifically, what I wanted to kind of highlight here is what we're really going to learn is how we can make our approaches simple so that they work. We're not inundating ourselves with anxiety and all that other stuff. How we can deal with anxiety, how we can overcome sexual inadequacy or, self-worth issues too. It's a big deal whenever we talk to men. And a lot of guys don't think it's normal. They think it's abnormal. Like, oh my God, I'm worried about my sexual performance, or, I grew up in this fucked up way that nobody's going to understand. And so I have to lie to people. Look, there are so many. That's such a common issue for us. We're really transparent here at TSL. We talk about that stuff because, hey, that's what happens when you. God, if we're going to be honest about dating women and sex with women, that shit comes out. All right, and man, we make it work. It's awesome. What to do on a date. How to get laid off of a date. How you can date women if you're an older man, 10 to 15 years younger than yourself. In fact, it really doesn't matter. That's just a number. I've just never dated girls that are 15 years younger than me because that would be illegal. Well, maybe not now. I got to do the math. Maybe not. Anyway, but the thing is that just if you were to want to date women of kinds that you thought were impossible, right? Maybe you're handicapped, maybe you're Asian and you think white women don't like you or some bullshit like that. Maybe you're 60 and you want to date girls in their 20s or 30s, or, more or less just want to have an awesome sexual experience with a girl that you just haven't had, with a way of sex that you haven't had. Man, that's essentially what we're covering here. And how you can sexually escalate flawlessly, that is probably one of the best parts, and connect to the deepest part of a woman. That is huge, man. Rapport is a life skill. It's awesome. Watch those videos. Now, we're just going to briefly cover that with a technique in this video. Like I said, there's 7 hours of videos breaking down each incremental part of this. Okay, each little part of this. And in those 7 hours, we get into detail of all that. Most importantly with all of this, how to be a better man, like how to be sexual, how to be authentic, and how to have beautiful, beautiful experiences with women. That is what we are teaching. A system, a way to do that, and for you to be yourself. And man, I challenge anybody out there. We're really, really the only company that teaches a fluid way of authenticity. Man, that word really bugs me because people use it in the wrong way. And man, they need to be fucking using it in the right goddamn way, because authenticity means, hey, you're being yourself. That's it. There's no compromise in that. You are you. All right. All right. So let's get started on this from the beginning. Now, little bit of review. Formula 69 is what? If I can meet a girl, let's figure out the ways to meet a girl. All I need is 10 to 15 seconds for her to pay attention to me. Then I'm going to transition. And there's a whole video series on that as well, on meeting, on transitioning, the different ways of transitioning. And if I can transition, my whole function is to get to a point where I can get some isolation and some rapport. So then there's that rapport part. If I can get to rapport, well, then I can probably get a date. There's a whole video on the rapport part. There's actually two. And there's a bonus video also on the rapport part with all this crazy stuff that you can do. And then to get a date, we break that all down. What do we do on the date? How do we set that up? How do we set it up in a form of a template? And there's literally hundreds of different templates, or there might be one template with 100 different ways to do it. Again, why you should be a part of the TSL Online community. We talk about on the calls. We can't get into it in these presentations, obviously, just for time reasons. But there's everything on that. So then how do we escalate to that kiss? How do we take that kiss into a fluid motion of pure sexual escalation so that we can get laid and have an awesome time? That's where we're set up to be a badass man. That's when we're going to see the real awesomeness of what, man, just being a sexual man could be. So let's tap into this from the beginning. This is one situation. There's many situations laid out in the previous videos, but of course, man, you want personalized attention? Man, TSL Online. Check out some of the TSL monthly programs, all that sort of stuff. That's where you're going to get the real tutorial on it. And it's going to be face-to-face or, well, Skype-to-Skype type thing, internet, face-to-face type stuff. But we spent a lot of time working with you on how to get there. So check this out. Remember, we're our only goal in the beginning, in the opening of a situation, isn't to do anything hard. We want to make it as easy as possible. We don't want to pressure ourselves in those like crazy ways. There could be an opinion opener. There could be a direct opener. It doesn't fucking matter, man. What matters is she pays attention to you and you can get into rapport. What matters is she pays attention to you and you can get a date. Okay. That's what matters. That is the most important part. Okay. So in this one, there's a girl at a cafe downtown. This is a situation that I've lived so many fucking times. In fact, I didn't even go in this aggressive, and I would have, this was basically my thing. I'd sit at this cafe downtown from like 11 p.m. or maybe from 10 p.m. to like midnight. And this would always happen. I'd sit there. I wouldn't even open anybody. And I'd get into a conversation with a girl at some point in that 2-hour window. A couple days later, go on a date with her, sleep with her, all that sort of good stuff. There's actually a video of me meeting Maria right there in that same situation. And I didn't even open her. Situation happened to me. But in this one, we are actually opening. We're in a cafe downtown. And I just say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you, but I have a question about relationships. Are you married, single? You have a boyfriend? Is it serious? So I'm just putting that stuff out there to engage in a conversation. My main goal here is for it to work, for her to pay attention to me, to stop what she's doing, give her attention to me, look at me, smile, whatever. That's all that matters. Okay. As we talk about with all the different styles of opening, man, forget it. If you're spending your time on opening and mastering that, you're spending your time on a practice of not getting laid. It's just pickup is proven for that to be a real big problem. Okay. But what I do want to do is I want to transition to something that, man, I want to transition to something where I can get rapport off of. Now, as we broke this down in the transition phase, if we get into like true social dynamics, the main things are this, is that I need to transition to either rapport or seduction. Now, in Formula 69, for ease sake, we're going into rapport because that's a life skill and it's really consistent to do. But for you guys that get really into this stuff, you're going to see about 1 out of 20 times that you might be able to skip rapport. Just the situation might be just perfect and right and all that sort of stuff. So basically, what I want to do just off the opener is immediately work in a transition. Now, in this transition, we are using the buffer. There's actually 3 transitions in the transition video, and then like multiple examples for each one, and multiple examples for multiple situations in each one in the specific video on Formula 69 for the transition part. But basically, if I go back to this opening thing and I just say, hey, look, I got a question about relationships, but well, first, are you married or single, or you have a boyfriend, but it's serious or not, or whatever. I'm just trying to gauge where she's at. Why? Because it's good information. I want to connect with her. I'm not going in with this massive deceptive thing. I want to connect with her, man. She's a hot chick. I mean, I'm intrigued to want to know more about her. What's wrong with that? So then I can say, hey, look, I know it's kind of a big question, right? And I can kind of put people off with how people talk to one another. But you know, what's crazy is how disingenuous people are from people, right? You know, when we meet people, and it's so much easier to give a fake answer to like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. You know, all that sort of stuff, than be yourself. So all I'm trying to do with that transition in a buffer is to buy some extra time and for her to let her guard down. Now, check this out. I just want you to think about this. If I get a reaction from a girl, it's not her. If I put her in a situation where she's forced to react, it's not her. I want her to be her. Now, in our society and how things work, when you approach women, it can scare them a little bit. But let's say if I come in with something really direct and I overpower her. You know, there's this old PUA term from a company called shock and awe, way back when. This is like, 6-7 years ago. And the funny thing about that is that it was essentially saying you could catch a girl so off her feet that you'd be forced to react to her. I don't want that. I want her to be her. I want her to stop all her bullshit, stop all her reactions. And if I do get a reaction, because that will happen, that will happen. There will be times where she does get reactive. But I want to calm that down to get her to show her real self. And that's where the real awesomeness is going to happen. So essentially, this buffer is trying to do that. The other forms of transitioning that we cover in the transition video, essentially their goal is to do that, to release a little bit and direct it into a more pure aspect of her and where she's really at. Now, as soon as this happens, I can go for rapport. So check out how fast this is. Okay. Now, this you might not be able to read because there's a lot of dialogue, and I just wanted to put it on one page to save the slide production value and all that sort of stuff. But there's plenty. On the rapport videos, first off, there's 2 videos dedicated to that, which cover rapport cycling. In a lot of different ways. We get crazy with how we cover rapport cycling, going into unique qualities, which is also off of a transition and all this sort of stuff. But if we were to just simply go, we talk to somebody, let's say at a cafe, real passive opener, and we just say, hey, I wanted to ask you about relationships. It's kind of a weird question, but are you single and what's happening? You serious? Not so serious? And she says, well, I have a boyfriend. And I say, okay, well, cool. I didn't mean to put you off by that question. I'm just going to buffer really quick. I didn't mean to put you off by that question, but I know I can kind of be intense with how I ask things. But it's so weird because people are so fake in talking to people. What's interesting to me is that, I just wish people could show their real selves. Like, for instance, now I'm just going to move right into a rapport cycle. Now, in between that time, I get it. It may not be that smooth. There may be different things. She might say oh, I got a text message and let me check it, blah, 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 blah. We can wait. We can dance around those things. We can work within it. Again, that's also why we need to be, interact with people, and why we have calls at TSL to, work around that sort of stuff and solve that. But as soon as I get her paying attention to me, as soon as she is showing her real self to me just a little bit, which is the point of that transition, I can go into a rapport cycle just like this one. And I could just say hey, look, I was saying people can be really superficial in the way they just have relationships with people. Let me ask you this thing. What is the most attractive quality about a guy? Okay. Now it's funny because somebody had emailed me earlier in this week, and they had read one of the things on the TSL Facebook group of one of the members talking about this specifically, that he uses this qualifier all the time. Well, he uses this qualifier because we talk about it all the time on calls, because it can go right into a ground like this. So she can answer. She can say the most attractive quality about a guy is, and I'll tell you what she most likely will say because I've done this for years. All right. And I'm not doing it again to, pigeonhole somebody. It's just I'm doing it because you'll see where I'm going to take the conversation. But they'll say something like confidence, humor, height, smile, the way he treats me, something like that. But either way, if you don't know somebody and you ask them a question, whether it's deep or not deep, they're incapable of asking that question to their full degree, right? They can't, because you don't know them. Right. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to ground, which is what makes a rapport cycle. And we could say something like, what's crazy is people always talk about a superficial thing like confidence or humor. And they always talk about like how it makes them feel. Like, for instance, like I like a confident woman, right? You know, somebody that's determined, but in reality, it's more like I want somebody that I feel that I connect with, somebody that I am empowered by, like that, somebody that I could like conquer the world with, you know, and that is the most beautiful thing when a woman makes a man feel like a man, or a man makes a woman feel like a woman. All right. So now that ground, you know, watch the rapport cycling video if you want to get more into what grounds are and all that sort of stuff. And at TSL 9, we actually spend like 4 weeks on that. And it's literally rapport cycling is the main social ingredient, you know, that we cover to build connections. It's just such a root with us, but there's a lot happening there. But essentially I'm redefining what attraction is to me in a way that she can understand and engage with, and that she'll want to interact with. All right. It's very simple. It's just a perspective. So now I'm just going to come again with a question or a challenge. That's why it's Q/C. And I say, look, let me ask you this. You know, what about like a man? You know, what do you like in the sense that they make you feel like a woman, that shows you that you are a woman? Like, when has somebody brought that out of you? Now, in this part, because I've done something like this so many times, because this is what I do want to know. I don't want to know what her most attractive quality is. I want to know what she thinks the most attractive quality about a man is, but I want to know the attractive quality about a man that defines her as a woman, that defines her as a sexual being. Now, again, she doesn't know me, right? Even if she did know me, this would be hard for her to answer, right? I need to dialogue. I need to exchange. I need to help her out here. Okay, so the answer that I'm going to get from her is going to be confusion, but intrigued. And that is how you would know you're doing it right. Guys watch this and they're like, oh my God, this is too complex. This is not complex. This is very, very simple. If you want to make it easy, just say, hey, what are you passionate about? Look, I think passion is this. So what are you passionate about? That is essentially a rapport cycle. But it's a little bit more advanced. And also, if you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, there should be a link to where you can download the slides to this so you can read it a little bit easier. Now, from there, I'm just going to, again, cycle, right? It's a rapport cycle. So I'm going to do another question in a ground series. Let's say, look, here's an easier way to put it. I can tell you're a really, really beautiful woman, and probably you get a lot of attention from men, okay? But when has a guy made you know that? Now, that she will get. That she will totally understand, and we'll totally get. And actually, when we get into escalation, if you guys have watched the stuff on escalation, you know, resistance is a form of confusion. And so this is a definition. All right. Kind of cool. Now we move on to the definition part of the rapport cycle, and which is basically if she shows me that she, you know, like, okay, so if I ask this question, I say, you know, when has a guy made you feel that? She'll understand it. She may not be able to answer it. But as long as she understands it, like she's like, wow, I never thought of that. God, who are you? Like, if that happens, then I move on to this. I'll say, look, you know, again, I don't want to make you uncomfortable. And you're probably thinking about something like, you know, like in a relationship or intimate or sexually or something, but it doesn't need to be like that. You know, in fact, the fact is I can tell that you have a lot of depth. And, you know, I've been having this issue about relationships that's been bugging me. And I just wanted to ask women. And I wanted to ask women that, you know, I thought were attractive. But like, I want to ask people that I can get to know and feel and see if that is more powerful and valuable than, you know, the fucking reasons why people have relationships these days. It's just, look, let me get your number. Let's hang out sometime. And I'd rather talk to you one-on-one and not in some cafe where, you know, there's a bunch of stuff passing by and, you know, you were working on your computer beforehand and I was doing this. Like, let's see where it goes. Okay. At this point in Formula 69, you're at, it depends on your skill set, but I'd say if you have a good skill set, 60%, you should get her number. Okay, so 6 out of 10 times you should get her number. And that is the lowest percentage that you should have ever. So all this stuff from meet all the way up to here, You should shoot for 6 out of 10 people you're able to get their numbers. All right. At this point, everything after it, your percentage goes way up. That means getting the date. That means getting the kiss. That means sexually escalating. All those things, you should have a higher percentage close rate. And just to be clear, like if I go up and meet somebody, man, lower percentages. Is she going to talk to me or not? Is she in the right situation? Is she single? She might not be. That could happen a lot, right? Somebody was actually asking me, who was practicing direct game all the time, that all the girls have boyfriends. Man, not every chick has a boyfriend. And I'll even tell you this. One thing I know about pickup is that a lot of girls who have boyfriends or are married are very sexually frustrated and want to meet people. One thing I know from being in a relationship and being committed to somebody and living with them, I know how much attention is important and how sexual frustration can come into play. Man, like being a husband or a boyfriend can suck. Your chick can be unhappy a lot of times, and you as a dude can be unhappy a lot of times. Now, that's your moral compass on whether you want to game that or not. But the fact of the matter is that if girls are telling you that, it's usually a point of resistance that she wants you to go away, and you should probably change something to your approach. But again, opening all the way to getting a number with the pretense of a date, you should get 6 out of 10 times a yes. Okay, be smart about who you open. Don't make it extra difficult on yourself. Don't make it like, don't do things that aren't working. Don't do things which are exaggerations. Like, be real, man. This whole thing of this beginning part, which everybody talks about and 90% of pickup is obsessed about, is, it would take me such a short amount of time to do. I'd get there 2 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. If I'm talking to somebody more than 10 minutes, it's because I want to talk to them more for that long. That's it. Okay. But in 10 minutes, you should be able to get a number and set up a date. All of pickup is obsessed about this, and it's fucking sad because it's super easy. And if you want to know like how to be a man and how to be a powerful man and all that sort of stuff, look, if you are not there yet and you're asking those questions, which is why you're not there yet, I would actually, or not there yet, I would tell you that get into some functionality, start dating more women, and that will start to make sense for you. Okay, look, now let's get into the date. So in Formula 69, we talk about this a lot. Look, if I can get a date, man, that's huge. That's fucking some bomb stuff. If I can get a date, then I can get a kiss. If I'm going on a date with a girl, I'm talking like it would be more than 70%, 7 out of 10 women. I would say it starts to get to that 9 out of 10 that I'm going to physically escalate on her. It's just so simple. Now, I don't just pick any date. I don't just make it about like, all right, I'm just going to go on a date and hang out with her. I'm going to do whatever, so-and-so in pickup says. No, man, I'm going to go in with a plan, okay? And my plan is dependent upon a few things. Number one, I want to get a kiss on that date. Why? Because I want to be able to sexually escalate. Now, I want to be able to get a kiss in a specific area while being alone and isolated. So it's got to end up in isolation. That's key for me. And the other thing is it's got to maintain tension. Now, the dating template that we talked about in the presentation for the date for Formula 69 was the pre-date. Now, you can do other ones, man. There's like photo adventures. There's ones where you go and you shop for food. There's all sorts of different dating templates. It's ridiculous. But the main factors that are in any dating template is that it achieves isolation, that it ends up in a way where you can get physical. I would say very specifically ends up at her place or your place. We'll cover some dialogue to get there when that comes. But real simple for a pre-date is a quick 15, 30-minute date to meet up before the real date. So basically, as soon as I meet a girl, like if I meet a girl at a cafe, actually, right when I met Maria, I texted her, the girl that I met before her, like 2 days before that, at the same place. Like I texted her right after I had basically met her. So rules with text messaging, there's all this shit out there. I say within 20 minutes. And the reason why I say within 20 minutes, there's almost no structural, like crazy, weird pickup thing about it. The reason why I say that is because I might forget, especially when you get a better skill set and you start meeting a lot of women. If you meet two or three women in that night, you're not going to remember the first girl that you met as well, especially because you probably talked about 3 or 4 more girls or whatever in between that time, or socialize with so-and-so, or got a text message from whoever. So I just text right away, man, and get it out of, just fucking text it, man. It's not that much of a game. It's not that big of a power play. Do that. So I would basically just say something like this, like, hey, I got a really busy week, but let's meet up for a quick coffee after work. Or let's meet up for a quick, you said you're from North Austin, South Austin, whatever, wherever you live. You can do what's called callback humor. There's all sorts of different things about text messaging that, could be moved into all sorts of different tactics. But like, let's say if you guys were talking about karate, you could say, hey, what's up, karate girl? You can do all that. That's cool. Don't play any games. Don't make it about value. Just be to the point. Be plain. Be normal. Like, chicks don't need any more bad dudes hitting on them. All right. So anyway, like I gave 2 examples here. Like, hey, I got you something from the north side of town. Let me see where you're at, and maybe I can drop it off to you. Like all sorts of stuff like that to engage her with a way to set up this pre-date. Now, in the pre-date, as you guys learned from the slideshow, pretty simple. I'm trying to meet her just for that short amount of time. Getting her something, like getting her a nice like token or of appreciation. A lot of times what I would do would just be a cupcake or a kolache or some sort of pastry from a special shop where I was at. And the funny thing is I'd get like, a dozen of these things. Like I'd get like, this would happen a lot when I travel in between Dallas and Fort Worth and Austin. It's a long drive, but there's a place called the Check Stop in between. And this is like so crazy. So I would stop there and I'd text all the girls that I met on Match or that I'd met that week or whatever. It would be a lot, right? I'm talking like 12 people. And so I'd say like, hey, you seem like a blueberry kolache, but I don't know, you pick. And so I'd send them a text message of a picture of all the different kolaches, and they have just like a ton of different things at this place in between Dallas and Austin. And basically they'd text me back, and they'd almost always say like blueberry or a cherry or something like that. So I'd just get a bunch of those. And then when I drive back into town, I'd stop at all their different works, and I'd do this, and I'd spend 10 to 15 minutes with them, giving them this pastry. And these are people that I had not met before. I'd never met them. I just met them online, or maybe I met them. If I did meet them, it was like a short time, like maybe they were a waitress at a restaurant or something, but I'd spent no time with them. And the whole point is that this builds a little bit of trust and a bond with them. Okay. So as soon as I do that, I would drop off the kolache or whatever it is on whatever pre-date you're doing. Like you meet them at Starbucks, like, or whatever cafe after their work or something like that. And you talk to them about whatever. You meet them for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You put a time constraint on it. And one of the reasons for that is you want all of your points of escalation, all the things where you take things further, to be an easy yes. There shouldn't be tension. There shouldn't be questions. It should be an easy yes. Hey, can you meet me for 15 minutes, 20 minutes? That's an easy yes. All right. If she doesn't want to do that, then she's either too busy or has some sort of weird, issues. Who knows? Maybe she doesn't like you, all those sorts of things. But you want an easy yes. So basically when that happens, it lowers her guard. It's like, hey, you're normal. Wow. I do like you. I met you online, or when I met you when you were waiting tables, or when I met you at the cafe the other day, I don't know, there was a lot going on or whatever, but you're like super cool. Like, what are you doing this weekend? Let's go out on like Friday or Saturday night. Okay. And so another thing that I would do for all these pre-dates is I would do them during the week and then just set up, actually it didn't really matter for me, but it mattered more for them. So I would do them basically all throughout the week. And then whenever they had a day off or a night off, enough time for me to be able to get intimate with them, that's when I would set up the real date for. Okay. So that was just a super simple, easy way to set up a dating template. It was very effective. That, man, just it got me laid a lot. And when I'm talking about a lot, like super consistent. In fact, I would say for a pre-date, there's 2 girls that I didn't sleep with of the how many times I did, probably like 50 times. So pretty good, ratio of it working, and just super, super efficient and super effective. In any case, Look, at the end of that date, I kind of had already covered this part, but at the end of that 15, 30 minutes, it is key to simply state something that is of intent. Like, hey, look, I think you're super cool. Look, I really like you. I mean, you could even be honest and say, like, when I'd meet girls online, and there were plenty of girls that I didn't ask them any further than this, but I would say something like, hey, look, you're super cool, but meeting people on Match can be kind of crazy, and or Tinder or whatever it is. So I just wanted to check you out, but man, we should totally go out on Friday or Saturday. Like, this is awesome. Like, you are a fucking badass person. Man, it just makes things so much easier. It is the bee's knees. All right. So basically, one of the reasons why this is so cool is because whenever you step in towards intent with a woman, there's going to be some sort of conflict. There's going to be some sort of resistance. I don't want to be around for that resistance. Like, if I go on a date with her, or if I set up an SNL, those are all great ways to get laid and all that sort of shit. And I'm all for them. I've probably done them more than dating people, is to go for quick sex. But as you get older, things change, and you don't want to stay up until 4 a.m. every night to try and do that. But man, so the thing is that all that resistance happens without you. So if I meet a girl, meet up with her for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we go over all of our pre-date stuff, and I'm like, man, you're awesome, totally cool. Let's go out Friday night. Let's set this up. Or let's figure out a time to go out soon, like within the week, and we'll text each other and figure it out. All the stuff of her going, man, should I date this guy? I don't know. He's got like bad motives, or what do you think? Like, this is a bad decision. I'm about to like screw up again as a woman and date somebody that's going to treat me like shit. Fuck. She's doing that all with her friends, all by herself, and not in front of you. If she's doing that in front of me on a date, like if I went on a proper date, or if I'm pulling an SNL, she's going to go through that stuff, and I have to calm her down from it. That is going over without me. All that shit that's going to fuck me up is going to get minimized by herself and everything else. Look, the thing is this is another thing. A guy talked to me this week, and he said, man, I met a girl on Tinder, and I think she has other guys talking to her, and we've made out a couple times. And I'm like, dude, look, she may be thinking all that stuff, like, oh yeah, I got other options, and I like this guy better, I like that guy better, I'm going to try this, or maybe this is a bad move, this dude's too much of a nice guy. Look, if you're in the mix, you're in the mix because she wants to say yes to you. Rather than selling it to her, you need to make it available to her of how she can say yes to you. And the reason is like the dude with the buff muscles and body that's been texting her and she does have options with, she's also thinking with that guy too, fuck, this is a bad decision. I don't know if this guy's the right guy for me. I really like him. Oh my God, I'm getting carried away with myself. Well, what about the safe guy? Look, if the safe guy, which is what he is assuming he is, if he is in the mix, man, offer her an opportunity that she can say yes to. I cannot stress that enough. If you're the buff guy or the player guy and you put off those vibes, offer her an opportunity that she will say yes to. The buff dude, player dude would be like, hey, when can we meet? No pressure. This could happen, these times or whatever, no big deal, yada, yada, yada. But more of how we offer that availability rather than all the value stuff of like, oh, I could like you, but I'm going to play hard to get, man, fuck all that shit. If you're the guy that's the nice guy or the safer dude, she's like, hey, I really want to meet you. I know you got like other things happening, but hey, if you want to have a good time, this can happen. Easy, passive things that she can say yes to, that she can make a decision towards. Any girl that is single, wants to not be single, or maybe she wants to be single, but she wants to have fun with a guy. She wants to go out on a date with a guy. If she is in the mix, putting any effort towards Tinder, Match, whatever, she wants to say yes to somebody, learn how to get her to say yes to you. It is not you. It is not that you're a bad archetype or whatever, and you can fix those things or get some better clothes or all that sort of shit. But man, it is that you have not offered her a way that she can say yes to. I'm going to get off of this slide because I'm just going to keep talking shit about how easy it is to get women to say yes to you. If you're wondering about that, again, man, check out the whole Formula 69 thing. If you're wondering about it then, because I know interaction and customization needs to happen, that is what TSL is meant to do. We love talking to you. There's a Friday Q&A call. You can jump on that. You have to be a part of our monthly club and all that sort of stuff to do it. But man, do it. And if you're on TSL Online, you'll get plenty of attention, which it's almost like limitless. So check this out. On this date, cut to the chase, man. If you did the pre-date, you don't need much more. After 5 or 20 minutes, I would do this all the time, 5 or 20 minutes on that date. I'd be like, oh yeah, cool. We'd meet wherever at some bar or whatever, take girls to strip clubs, all sorts of different stuff in the first location of a date. And I'd say, you know what? Look, I like you and I think you like me. But if we were to have a first kiss, where would it be? Like, where around here would be an awesome place to have it? Which is always a funny thing to ask when you're in a strip club because they get all crazy. Now, the beauty of this is what you need to do is you need to let her lead this. And if you get any resistance and she's like, oh, well, I don't know, just take it away. Anytime anybody shows you resistance, so if you say like, hey, look, where would our first kiss be? And she's like, she gets all nervous and you see that and you're visible about it, because 2 things will happen. All right. Number 1, whenever I did this, 100%, man, kiss to close. It was like so fast. Like it was super, super good. But because I've taught this so many times in TSL, we have guys adding different augmentations to it. And some guys have gotten resistance. If you get resistance towards it, and I've gotten resistance to plenty of other things, but if I get resistance towards like something, is you'll see it on their face. You say like, where would we have our first kiss? And they'll get like excited. Okay. If they don't get excited and they're like, just say, hey, look, we don't need to do anything, man. Just think about where that could be and let's go there, and we could just go there and hang out. Like nothing needs to happen. What you want, again, you want somebody to say yes to the situation. Situation beats technique always, meaning that if we have the right situations, it's better than the guy who has like the most badass technique on everything in the bad situations. You're going to have more of a probability to get the favorable result. So anytime you get with resistance, take away the pain, man, and blatantly. You can do it in a smooth way, but usually in a dating situation, that's taking sex out of the equation, taking objectification out of the equation, taking reaction and fear out of the equation. And those are huge. You'll see that in 6 points of escalation, as we'll get into here. But man, the beauty of it is she's going to take you. She's going to take you to a place. And this is the fucking awesome thing. This is actually where you see it happen in 6 points of escalation. Her choice, right? It's point 4 and 5, which you should have covered if you've watched the whole series. But if you're just watching this, it's point 4 and 5 of the 6 points of escalation, which we'll get into in a few slides. But anyway, when she can decide something, when she can lead, when she can show, when she can project, it's her stamp, it's her brand, it's her choice, it's her expression, it's her seduction. And you are then showing arousal towards her seduction. Now, check this out. A lot of times when I did this, it would be downtown. I would take a girl downtown on a date, and I'd notice that I didn't need to go to the second location, 5 minutes, 20 minutes into it. I could fire this because I could tell the girl was into me. Why waste time? But holy shit, I haven't set up my date to be back at my place or her place. So I got to figure out what to do. Now, we covered this in the sexual or in the kissing slideshow, where we have to stop it. If we build up that tension into a sexual act, right, into a sex act like kissing or touching or fingering or oral sex or whatever, and we can't complete it, we can't finish it, it's going to build resistance. It's going to build toxicity. The girl's going to dislike us more, or there's a higher probability for that, even if she really likes us. And it's going to fuck her up, man. It's going to fuck up the situation, and you have blown it. So I need to stop it. So if I'm making out with her and I don't have a place to continue this close, which is what we're doing in this situation, I'm going to stop it. Okay. And when I stop it, after 3 to 5 seconds, we're making out as soon as she gets into it. And we talk about that a lot. Like as soon as she gets into it, that's where the resistance is going to start to hit. Like if we're making out with her and then she moans and we think like as a guy, go harder. No, that's when resistance is about to hit. And resistance is a good thing because it means we're moving in the right direction. So we stop and we say, hey, look, I really like you. I don't want to ruin this. I don't want to ruin this by getting too carried away. Let's just go like hang out at someplace chill. You want to go to my place? We can watch movies, your place, whatever. I don't care. I just would want to hang out with you as you. Now, at that point, as soon as you ask a girl to go back to your place or her place, she knows what that means. And it's like, oh my God, I'm going to get fucked. And that's where, again, I would take it off the table and just say, oh, look, no, I really like you, but I can be a gentleman. Let's just do whatever and have a good time being us. If she still says no to that, hang out with her for another, 15 minutes. walk around the town or wherever you're at, or do something and just say, no, man, like, we don't need to do anything. Like, but look, I got a lot of work to do or whatever. I mean, can we just go back to my place? It's not going to be a big deal. Totally nothing needs to happen. I have a chastity belt on. The only way it can come off is if you want it to come off, and just whatever. Let's just chill out. Like, why get in the way of this? Like, we're looking at a lake and sitting and there's mosquitoes, and I'd just rather be in a place that has air conditioning and TV. So you can say all that stuff and make it an easy yes. Now, if she still says no after that, forget it. Just have your fun, do your thing, go get ice cream, whatever the hell it is you want. But then the thing is that on your second date, try and structure it so you can get to your place. But let me tell you, as a guy, the quicker that you can get sexual, the quicker that you can get her to have a relationship with your dick, the more honest of a relationship you're going to have. Now, a lot of people think, well, that's bullshit. Or like, if women hear that, they're like horrified and appalled. But let me tell you, like, if she is having a relationship with you and wondering about like, oh my God, when's the right time to have sex? He's going to try to, and she's in that mode and she isn't comfortably having sex with you, then she's always worried about having sex with you. And that is dishonest. Like, that is such bullshit. That is ridiculous. Like, to build a relationship with somebody where they still have fear of you, you call that a way to, no, man, have sex, get that off the table. Realize if you like them or not. Sure, be safe and all that sort of stuff. Be respectful to her. And then you will see who she really is and who you really are. If you ask any hot woman, this is a great report cycle, you could say, man, do you think like attraction is a curse? And she'll be like, what are you talking about? Or, well, what I mean is like, you probably get a lot of people attracted to you. You're hot, right? You're a hot chick. Okay, so this is my ground. You're a hot chick. Like, but the problem is a lot of people probably, like, you get attention from all the like really badass tough guys, like the fucking dudes who are just, like they show you what's up. But as soon as you get intimate with them, like as soon as it gets like sexual, as soon as like some relationship with their dick comes out, they become total pussies. They're like the biggest bitches you've ever met. And they'll all agree with you. Why does that happen? Because before people get sexual, they're full of shit, men and women. So cut that out. All right. Anyway, just my advice to you. It works. It's a good guy way of thinking about stuff. In any case here, like basically, as we're talking about, when we are on this sort of dating situation and we get resistance, there's no reason to push too hard, but give the opportunities to say yes to getting back to your place as easy as possible. I gave you a couple of examples. Look, I'd really like to spend time with you one-on-one, you being you, and I promise to be a gentleman. And it's very, very easy, no big deal. And I'll tell you this, if she goes, all right, let's go there, but I'm not going to sleep with you, she will sleep with you. All right. And it's not because she's lying. Think about this. And think about this. This is why resistance is your friend. As soon as a girl says she's not going to do something, it's because she's feeling that. That's why she's saying that. So it's like, look, I'll go back to your place, but I'm not going to sleep with you. The reason why she's saying that is because sex is on her mind. It's not because you've pigeonholed her into this fucked up position. It's because sex is on her mind. All right. It's a little cool words of wisdom there. All right, look, when you're back at your place, very simple. Like what you want to do is you want to get in a situation that can really, work for you. On the couch, close, some physicality there, always a good move. Where I always find myself when I go back to a girl's place or my place is I'm either in the kitchen, I'm either on a couch, or I'm in their bedroom, and we're not doing anything yet. Like nothing's happened, right? So the hard thing is then how am I going to jump from nothing back to that kiss? How can I reignite that tension? And remember, very important, if I got some sexual physicality before, like if I got that kiss before, but I wasn't able to complete it, I stopped it before she stopped it. So there wasn't a bad taste with the physicality just then. So basically I could do something like this. We're in the kitchen and say, hey, look, like I said, I don't want to make you nervous or pressure you or anything, and I just want to see you, like not a reaction or a fear, but if I kissed you right now, would that make you afraid? Now, this isn't like some weird NLP script or anything like that. It's not some like smooth motherfucker line. This line is basically to get me in a physical interaction. That's it. It's like nothing to it. It's like, hey, can I kiss you? Would work just the same. Now, this is just following a different, way of saying it and playing a little bit more to her resistance and all that sort of stuff. But the main thing is I want to get in that physical action. It's just a simple line. A lot of times we can have trouble getting there. We cover this a lot in the kissing video. We can go in the tickle war, or also if you get cheek to cheek with somebody and they hold it there, like more like lip to lip, but just off, because cheek to cheek would be more here. You're not whispering in their ear. It's like you're whispering to the side of their lip. If you can get there in that position and hold it, then all you need is a few moments, like 2 seconds, right? If that's happening there, then you can go for the kiss. So like put your lips on her, you're good to go. Okay, if she holds that for literally 1 second, 1/1000, just go for it. You're good to go. All right. So once that happens, you're set. When you start making out with her, as we talk about in the kissing and 6 points of escalation, this is when resistance happens. About 3 to 5 seconds of kissing. 1/1000, 2/1000, 3/1000, 4/1000, 5/1000. No more than that. There's going to be a point where she gets like, she starts to feel stuff. She starts to get overloaded. She starts to let herself go and all sort of stuff. And then it's like, stop. So at this point, we move on to the 6 points of escalation. Point 1, obviously the kiss. Point 2, she shows resistance. So you want the situation to remain accepted. You want to calm her resistance. So what do? We take away the sexual threat. We stop. No big deal. Okay. So we as soon as there's resistance, 3 to 5 seconds, and we're like, all that sort of stuff. And she's like, and it's exactly like that, guys. We just stop. And then we move to define, comfort, and relax, right? And so we just say, hey, look, let's stop. If you're not comfortable, then I don't want to kiss an uncomfortable you. As simple as that. Like if you rehearse that line, like, hey, let's stop, no big deal, let's chill out. But this is a kind of a smoother way of saying it. Like, hey, let's stop. If you're uncomfortable, I don't want to be making out with the uncomfortable side of you. But now we move on to point 4, which is to elicit her expression. Again, qualification is eliciting somebody's expression. A rapport cycle is meant to elicit somebody's expression. And that kiss routine of like, show me, like where would you want our first kiss to be? That is eliciting her expression. It is showing her brand, showing who she is and her expression out there. Okay, so I want that to happen. I need that in order for her resistance to calm down and her resistance to be slingshotted into just like animal seduction. So if I say, look, let's stop. If you're uncomfortable, I don't want to be kissing you. Like, look, you're beautiful. I want that. But what if you just touch me how you want to touch me and nothing else? Like my pants are on, I'll just touch me how you want to touch me. As soon as she does that, which a lot of times, it depends where you're at, but if she touches my chest or something like that, or if she touches my leg, then as soon as that happens, I want to get her in a relationship with my dick, okay? With how she makes my dick feel, how she makes my cum feel, how it's going to be her cum, how it's going to be her orgasm, all those things. I want that to happen now. Really, I would say if you're interested in that, you can watch the sexual escalation video, but you should really take TSL online because the nature of seduction, nature of escalation, part 1 and 2, this is broken down with like enormous amounts of examples. And in the courses, you can ask guys who've done this and they can tell you the tons of different ways that they've done this. But this is a key point, okay? So as soon as they touch me, I show my arousal. I say, oh, fuck, look at what you're doing to me. Do you like that? This is a key line. Do you like that? Do you like what you're doing to me? I bet you like that. Even when you open girls, especially in a nightclub, one thing that I would always do is I'd be like, oh my God, you're crazy. You're making me feel all nervous. But I bet you like that. Like that fucking, you're all twisted like that. Your boyfriends probably like think all this crazy shit about you. And I'd start moving towards framing in that way almost right away. As soon as I'd meet them, like off of a tease or an egg, whoever was responsive to that, pretty much that's who you would screen to take home and do your little SNL action with. But basically, from that point on, she would be open. So just to explain, because if you haven't been to the end zone before, guys, this doesn't make any sense to you, and you need to get to the end zone, You need to start having some sex. You need to start dating, all that sort of stuff. But it's very simple. Hey, look, let's stop. If you're uncomfortable, no big deal. We can totally stop. But look, I'll be totally good. Just touch me how you want to touch me. And a lot of times I would say, kiss me how you want to kiss me. Kiss the side of my neck. I'll keep my pants on. Soon as they do that, it's so easy for them to say yes to that. And there would be times where there would be girls who had boyfriends who I was traveling and they were traveling and they're like, but I'm going to Skype my boyfriend in 2 hours. And it would be like, look, nobody needs to know. Just kiss me how you want to kiss me. Just like nothing needs to happen. You do it to me. It's so much easier to get a girl to do something to you than you doing it to her. What did we talk about in the whole escalation thing? Sexual escalation is more about getting her to do something to you rather than you do something to them. Or everybody fucks this up as they do something to the girl, which works, but not as good, not as fast, and it built a whole bunch of guilt, shame, and remorse. As soon as she does something to me, then it's like, fuck, man, what are you doing to me? God, fucking look at my dick through my pants. Look at that. Fucking, can you smell it? All that sort of shit. Bring up all the senses. And as soon as she gets that, or she knows that her action is doing that to you, she will be set off. Set off. All right? Trust me on this, mainly because I've done it a fucking lot of times. All right? Okay, so then that happens. She gets a relationship with your dick. She takes your dick out or whatever. She starts jerking you off through your pants or something. She's into it. Your dick comes out. Again, when does resistance come up? When a new thing happens sexually. Anything new that is new with you or new to her, new to your relationship. So for instance, if she's never experienced a lot of this stuff, she'll stop herself. But also if she's experienced this stuff and she has had a lot of sex with guys, but it's like too fast, she'll stop herself. So resistance will happen. It's good. It's great. No problem. We know how to deal with it. It's super easy, right? So she takes her dick out, she starts jerking it off or whatever, gets oral with you or something like that. Any new sex act, the tension will begin. And all we need to do is alleviate it. And when we alleviate it, then that allows us to open it up and it'll just come flooding right back to us, okay? So we're going to even give you another example here just to help you out. Now, again, 6 points of escalation are what we're teaching. The KFP is another thing, and I would recommend you getting really involved with TSL because the KFP is a little bit more aggressive and to the point. But 6 points is nice and easy. So let's say you're getting intent and you're getting a hand job. All right. Okay. So she starts to get carried away with it. She starts to feel it. Okay. And then she's like, oh my God, what am I doing? And she starts making up excuses like, oh, God, look, I barely know you. Look, I have to call one of my friends. I don't know, like, you're really cool, but okay, that shit, I need to stop. So that's resistance, but I need to maintain the situation. So I don't really want her to go and run away and talk to her friend or whatever that, or stop the action. If that has to happen, it can happen, no big deal. I'll have to start it back up again, but it's a lot easier if I don't let that happen. And so I just say, hey, cool. I'm going to take sex off the table. We can totally stop. You can call your friend or whatever, no big deal. But look, now I'm going to define comfort, relax. But look, let's not stop on a bad note, okay? Like, I don't want you walking away from here feeling like shit. Like, I want you to feel me like we're doing something that is actually special to me. Like, don't leave me like that. And it's true. Like, fuck, why? Like, you know how bad you feel as a guy, like when you're getting a hand job or she's sucking your dick, or even if she's fucking you and she's like, oh God, I got to call my friend, and then leaves, makes you feel like shit. You don't want that to happen. So don't let that happen. Define comfort, relax towards that. Say it. So now I want to elicit her expression because I've calmed her down. I've calmed the tension. Right now I got to open it up and have her come back up towards me, right? So I elicit her expression and I say something like, look, just look at my dick and tell me you like it. Tell me you fucking like it. You don't even need to touch it. Don't touch it. Tell me you fucking like it. Tell me you were thinking about wanting to make it come. All right. And if you can allow her to have that, that will trigger her, set her off, open her up, it'll be like at that point, you should be good to go. Now, the reason why this is important, why I gave 2 examples here, is because for points like 4 or 5, for points 2, 3, and 4, and 5, if you say the same things over and over again, like kiss me how you want to kiss me, it's not going to work, right? If your dick's in your hand and all that sort of stuff, you're like, well, kiss me how you want to kiss me. She's like, you just said that to me. But I'm just showing you a different way of how you're going to have to do it, because this will happen. You might need to cycle it twice. And anything, really cycling it once is usually enough. Twice, it is common. 3 times, just, wait and fuck her the next time or whatever. And I'd say if you do need to cycle it a 3rd time, you didn't do a good job of building a relationship to your dick and to your cum and to your orgasm and how she's doing it to you. Okay, so that's the reason why I put 2 examples in here, because we are going to have to move it, right? It is just going to have to happen that way. In any case, look, guys, if you're consistently able to get here, you should be living a very fluid and fruitful sexual life. What I mean by that is you're dating, you're having sex, you're meeting people. Meeting people should no longer be an obsession. You're not worried about opening. You're not trying to do every fucking different style of opener, direct game, weird philosophy, all that sort of shit. You are in the philosophy of sex. You are in the philosophy of interacting with people and connecting with people and having a good life from experience. That is what we care about at TSL. This is where everything starts to change for you. This is where becoming a man and knowing a man and all that sort of stuff, the feelings, the different roles that you feel, all that sort of stuff stops becoming concept. You stop living by these stupid rules and start living it. This is where you go, man, I have a dick. I know its purpose. I have emotions. I know their purpose. I have hurt. I have pain. I have dominance. I have power. I know what they are. I have abundance of women. I'm going through a dry spell. I know how to treat that. Interesting thing. Having abundance of women doesn't mean that you fuck them all. It doesn't mean that you define your life just to get all this stuff. That when you have abundance, that's when you learn. That's when you actually learn to be a man. You go, okay, wait a minute. How do I be responsible with this? How do I be responsible with my sex? How do I be responsible with my emotion, my passion? Like, do I want them all to fall in love with me? I don't need that. This is where we start making those pure decisions. The immature man, the man not based on experience, not living the philosophy of sex, is making stupid choices. It's ridiculous. Okay. That's where they fall short. That's where they waste their own time. That's when they become boys who get a result and think they're a man. It's fucking ridiculous. There's always going to be somebody doing more, doing less, all that sort of shit. But it matters what you're doing with the people in front of you. And that is what the sexual life is about. And that's what we create on these courses. Okay. So Formula 69 is simply a template to get you in that mode, to get you in that role, to get you living in a functional sexual life. That's what it is there for. So that you know what to do when you meet somebody, how you're going to transition so that you can get rapport, so you can get to the functionality of that, so that you can move your rapport to a date, so you can move your date to getting physical. And when you're getting physical, then that's when the story begins. That's when the page of your sex life begins, which is where, man, really the first page of what we do at TSL. Get you functional with a sex life and knowing where you can be with it. Because once that happens, you are living the philosophy of you, the philosophy of your sexuality, and the philosophy of your life. That is what this is all about. In any case, if you enjoyed this preview, where you're watching the video, there should be an area where you can download the slides or a PDF to look over the different stuff. Also get yourself involved. What I would really recommend, what I would recommend to everybody and anybody with TSL is, don't worry about a workshop. Don't worry about all this other stuff. Worry about doing TSL online. If you think you don't learn that way, most likely I'd say you're wrong. It's an extremely thorough course, and it will take you, it'll take you to a different level of life. Okay. If it's something that you're like, well, wait a minute, it's too big of an investment for me, I don't know about it, man, dip your feet in the water. Like I said, we have a program where you get all sorts of different material, video interaction, all that sort of stuff. And there's even a Q&A call on every Friday where we, can work with you on what's going on. Now, there's a lot of people on those calls, usually to answer a question. It takes a while, So, there is some, I guess some scarcity there and all that sort of stuff. But, look, man, it's just an easy way to get involved. What we really like doing at TSL is to basically work with people individually and work with them in a way that they grow, where we get to know you and we can interact. Because in order to evolve and make this philosophy living, we need you to live it. So that is it, guys. That is how we evolve. That is how we change. That's how we be the better man. That's that entire system. And of course, Formula 69 taking a specific map towards that. Of course, there could be so many different ways to do this, but this is a nice, clean, awesome way to take yourself all the way, man, to get yourself functional, meeting women, having sex, having a great sex life, having the relationships that you never thought you'd have, man, that's all right here. All right. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Do not let confusion hold you back. Do not let some, lack of success in certain areas or sticking points hold you back. Do not let that make you quit, because that's the only way you will fail. All right. Talk to you guys soon. And don't forget about TSL Online, man. If you like this, TSL Online is literally 100-fold better. Community, customization, inventory, man, it's an amazing thing. Your sex life, man, you deserve to live it. Honor it. All right. Talk to you guys soon.